This is everything I made this month. I did a lot of printing, specifically a lot of stationery and bookmaking experiments. It started with the perfect travel memo. When I first showed you guys around the studio a few months ago, we took a walk around the neighborhood and went scavenger hunting for some bikes. And I wanted to use those in a stationery project. These were the parameters. Must be somewhat durable. The pages didn't need to be perfectly bound together, but just enough that you could flip through and they wouldn't tear off too easily. Padding compound alone should do nicely. But I also tried with staples, then without, and then with the reinforcement of some tape against the spine. Must be easy to carry around. Risograph prints smudge with the oil from your hands. You can't be touching them all the time. So that required a solution. A folding cover to keep the illustration safe. And then how to keep it all together. Because if you're traveling around, you'll want to throw it in your bag or something. And the folding cover makes this a little tricky, so use an elastic. Thread it through a pig nose clamp, finish it off with something shiny, and voila. And that started a foray into stationery making and bookmaking. Stapling things together, saddle stitch, is pretty much all I've done till now. Simple and reliable. With the calendar, I tried to make a format that was a little different. But what if I started making unreasonable stationery and experimenting with more binding methods and book forms?
Hi! Okay, we have the heaters on full blast here, and I don't have a tripod, so you're sitting on the couch right now. I want to make some really unreasonable stationery. Let me clarify a bit. I mean like unreasonable in the way that I'm probably not going to make a ton of these because they're going to be kind of like weird stationery art projects. I mean, if anyone wants to buy them, I'm happy to make more, but I thought we would play around in the studio a bit because this is what's giving me a lot of ideas. Okay, in this box are a bunch of paper scraps. So whenever I do printing projects, obviously I have to trim a lot of the paper, and my first idea is the never-ending to-do list because, like I talked about in my last video a little bit, I think a lot of us have the experience of just having a constant to-do list, and it kind of never really ends. But basically what gave me this idea is I have these scraps. I have all these really long paper scraps. And I thought it'd be fun to make a to-do list that was like, or a memo pad that was this weird long shape. So either having it just be like a regular memo pad that's really long, or making a memo pad where it's like an accordion, so the pages can like accordion out into like this super, super long to-do list. So that's kind of my first idea. The first step, since I already have the paper I'm gonna use, is I have to design a cover for this really weird shape. I'm thinking I'm going to maybe use some of my sketchbook sketches. I've been keeping a sketchbook for this past month, and it's just been really nice to draw every day because it's like a planner. So it has a lot of space for each day. Like each day has its own little box. And then I also have like every day I have a drawing. So I'm gonna use some drawing from here and turn that into the cover. And the most important thing is it just has to be really long looking to match the like shape of this. Just to interject, I've been interested in making stationery projects for a while now. It's also a fun way to use your illustrations and drawings. Like so much of the time I draw something and it's kind of like, I don't necessarily do anything with it. So it's nice to turn them into a useful object in that way. Okay, let's take these back to the other room.
While working on my never-ending to-do list, I was also working on another task. Some book-themed illustrations for an open call submission. And since I had all of these test prints left over, I thought, why not create a special drawing pad?
I thought we could have a little coffee chat while I'm setting stuff up. So for today's stationery project, I think I showed you guys before. I'm not quite sure if there will be a final form to this sort of thing or if it's just an experimentation, but I did want to try something new today. And that is, there is, in addition to the red binding compound, I also have a white one, and you can mix it with different colors. So you can create kind of different color bindings. And then I also wanted to try to add like an extra kind of flip style binding strip to the cover, and that will just kind of help add some longevity. I want to try some different ways of adding some different elements to the binding and like covers and stuff, but also it's kind of about finding the balance of what's actually fun to make and what is practical to make in a sense, because you don't want things to get so complicated that you're gonna make only one of them. Part of this is about having fun, part of it is about finding new systems and new practices that work for bigger projects or longer projects. You guys can also see, which I think is interesting, the difference when the printer is more saturated with ink and when it's less saturated. So when you haven't printed for a while, you'll get like a lot of these lines like this, which means the ink has dried out a little bit. And then here, it's like later in the printing process. So especially for this one, you can see the edges, the ink has dried out. And here it's a little bit better. It's a little bit more even. You can even see like in the green, the blue here is darker than the blue here and more even. And you'll also see another thing you can tell is these roller marks. So you can tell I did not wait for the ink to dry. Sometimes it's interesting to design stuff where when you have weird stuff happen, it kind of makes it look cooler. So, I mean, I could do with or without the roller marks, but in a way I kind of almost like them. I'm not against it, but they're easy to prevent if you just wait longer. I was demonstrating some printing to a friend for a video that they're making, and so I just printed 3 layers like all in a row, and then you get lovely roller marks like this. So if you want to prevent roller marks, it's pretty easy. Wait for your ink to dry, and then you can avoid them and avoid printing in like this area so that when the paper feeds through, you don't get roller marks. But yeah, I have a few of these guys, so I'm just gonna cut them and I'll leave a little space at the top so that when I put the strip down to bind it all together, it doesn't cover any of the illustration. So, I thought this is a cute way. This is just like a Japanese style binding with 3 holes. Usually they're 4, but this one I did 3. And this is a notebook. I wanted a square memo for drawing. You usually don't find like a square drawing pad. And I did these holes by hand. Like you can tell it's not perfect. I have a tool for punching holes in pads of paper. So maybe today we'll try that out and see if it works. And if so, then maybe I can make some more of these, but like in a more easy way, because this definitely took a little more effort than I would like. I've been making a lot of these little memos. One second. I think these are so cute. I made this super mini one for like flashcards, for language flashcards, and then this one just for little notes. I think today is gonna be the last day of this little entry in the video. I think what I wanna do today is maybe I'll summarize like all the book stuff I've learned and everything I've made this month, in the last month since I last saw you. So let me put you down. Sometimes when I realize that a month is over, I feel like I haven't done anything in a weird way, even though I know that I've been working on stuff and like experimenting with stuff. And I guess it's easy to feel like you've done a lot when you have a finished project, like the calendar I made. I made that and then I felt like, yeah, I did something. I made this project. I sold out of calendars. It was really cool. It all wrapped up very nicely. And then maybe I'll have these other times where I'm experimenting with stuff and incubating ideas and just making little testers and stuff like that. And I think you also need that time of testing stuff, drawing stuff. I've been drawing every day. I want to make a video about that. Yeah, you definitely need that time too in order to make things that you feel are worthwhile. So that's what I've been doing this month, and I hope next month you'll check in again with me when I talk about some other things. Maybe I'll make a video about how it's been drawing every day. Maybe I'll have finished another experiment. I hope you had a good time hanging out in the studio with me this month.